All right, welcome. This is Christopher Gelson, the director and lead teacher of Protect Your Children Incorporated. Glad that you're listening tonight. We are trying something new, usually weekly at Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. We have a live show that streams on Rumble, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and a couple other platforms. But tonight we want to try out Twitter Spaces and see how many people will join and listen to our space. Since Twitter Spaces is getting increasingly popular, we wanted to give it a shot and see how many people will follow us over here on Twitter, as well as boost our Twitter followers. Or should I say X? Everybody knows it's Twitter. It's going to always be Twitter, but I guess some people like to call it X. It sounds more mysterious. So tonight, we're going to talk briefly about how to keep your kids safe from online and community predators. This is becoming quite the epidemic. And there are millions of predators online every single day. This is the stats. The stats are clear. And there are millions online every day looking for kids that they can communicate with, they can exploit, and eventually even meet with. We hear about the cases all the time. We see it on the news where a child gets abducted or a child gets molested or a child gets raped. And what happens? They find out that they were talking to somebody online. And sometimes they were talking online with them for months, and nobody knew. Imagine that. So there's a problem here. Not only are these predators online, but they are also in the community. And with geolocation set automatically to on, all right, this is what happens with 20 of the most popular apps that kids are using today. Geolocation is automatically set to on. So unless your kids turn it off, that means their location is being shown. Now we know with Snapchat, the kids like to have their location on because, hey, I can see where my friend is at, or I can see where my boyfriend's at, or my girlfriend's at. But other people can see their location as well. And you say, well, wait a minute, it's only their friends that can see their location. Well, kids will add people on Snapchat who they think are friends, but they don't know who they are in real life. This happens all the time. There's a fake profile. It says they're a 12-year-old girl. The boy who's got the Snapchat's a 12-year-old boy. So he's thinking, hey, 12-year-old girl wants to be a friend on Snapchat. No problem. She looks pretty. She sends him a snap, which predators can get from the internet, from anywhere. And now that predator is seeing the location of that boy. It's just that simple. So there are lots of things with technology today that are making kids at risk for predators. And parents have to be involved. They have to be nosy. They have to be going through their kids' phones. And I know the kids that are listening are going to say, no, heck no, I don't want you going through my phone. And parents will say, well, I don't want to do that. I want my child to know that I trust them. And you know, they're too smart for that. They're not going to fall into this. And we wish that was the case. But at Protect Your Children, Inc., we see stuff every single day that tells us that that's not the case. Kids are falling into the traps of predators, the threats of predators. Kids are being victims of sextortion, which is when they take a photo and they send it to somebody who they think is safe. That person turns around, says, hey, now that I got the photo, I'm going to send it out to all your friends. I'm going to send it to people at your school, unless you send me money or unless you do X, Y, and Z that I want you to do. And then kids don't know what to do. They get trapped. There are kids who have unalived themselves because of sextortion. This is a very real thing. Now, how do we prevent this? Well, it really takes parents being nosy. It takes parents making sure that kids only have one account on social media and that the parents are following that account. Kids are very slick today. When they want to do something wrong, they will find ways around it. Just think about when you were a kid. Wasn't it a goal to try to hide something from your parent? You know, there was something that you weren't supposed to do, and that made you kind of want to do it more. And so kids have friends, and friends tell them, hey, this is how you can hide this from your parents. These are certain key phrases you could use, or acronyms you can use, and the parents don't know what it means. And they teach each other how to do wrong on social media. And so parents have to be informed of what the acronyms are that the kids are using. They have to be informed of the kind of language that they're using. Parents have to know what their kids are doing online. Now, we'll tell you that the most popular apps, and we're talking TikTok and Snapchat and all the ones that the kids use today, all of these apps, all of them have no age verification whatsoever. None. All of these apps will allow multiple profiles to be created from one IP address or multiple. So that's interesting, right? What does that mean? That means that the 50-year-old who wants to say that they're 16 can create a profile, and Snapchat and TikTok and Facebook Messenger, all of these apps, they're not going to verify that. So when your child thinks that they're talking to somebody who says they're 16 or 14 or 13, are they really? Are they really though? They don't know. And parents, you don't know. You don't know who is talking to your kids. All right? And with the multiple users, that means a child can create an Instagram account or a Snapchat account or a TikTok account. And that's the one that mom and dad sees. That's the one that looks normal, right? You see what they post, you see what they share, everything looks absolutely fine. But if you go into their app and you go to the top and you select their account, there's a drop down that will show if they have any other accounts, because kids will create multiple accounts. And I guarantee you that other account, mom and dad are not on that account. Therefore, you have no idea what they're doing online. So you have to look out for that. All of these apps are not doing anything to keep kids safe. We know that Instagram, which is owned by Meta, and Facebook as well, they're talking a good game. They're saying that they're trying to put, things in place that help keep kids safe. Well, they could start with age verification. They could start with ID verification. Now, I know you're saying that's a dystopian thing there, man. I mean, every single person on social media would have to prove their identity. And that's, on one side, that's a scary thing, right? Because some people, they don't like the fact that they're being tracked, first of all, and that their ID will be, shown to all these big companies. But look what's happening right now. We don't know who these people are that are on social media. We don't know who they are talking to our kids. Your kids don't know who they're actually talking to and what kind of people that they're dealing with. So look what's going to happen. The lack of parental responsibility and keeping their kids protected online is raising the calls for people to want ID verification on all accounts. So the thing that people don't really truly want because of privacy concerns is going to end up happening because parents and guardians are not protecting their kids online as they need to. These predators, these pervs are easy to spot. It's not like, they're so slick that you can't figure it out. Kids have to be taught the warning signs, taught the traps. They have to be taught the threats that these predators use on a daily basis. And as I said, there's a million of them online every single day, probably more than that. I don't have the exact stat in front of me right now. So parents have to be really involved in what their kids are doing. Parental controls is a great idea. And you say, well, man, that sounds kind of complicated. It's really not that complicated. On our website, protectyourchildren.org, protectyourchildren.org, we have a section called Parental Controls, how to set up parental controls. And it will tell you how to set up parental controls on all devices, including game systems and phones. It's step by step. It's not as hard as you think it is. And they're free. And that can offer some security for your kids. Now, does that mean, hey, I got parental controls on it, I don't have to check their phone anymore? I can just not worry about it and move on. No, that's not exactly what happens. You know what I mean? So you have to kind of do both. You want to have parental controls, but you also want to be nosy and keep your eyes open for anything that seems weird. Because think about it. As a child, let me lay out a scenario, right? There's an old relationship scenario, which probably is the same today, right? That says women want security, right? They want a brave man. They want to know that they're safe, that someone's going to stay with them, that they're not going to leave them, they're going to love them unconditionally, right? And guys know what the girls want. So you get the jerks out there, okay, that will talk a good game. They'll tell the women, hey, I'll never leave you. You're the best thing that's ever happened to me. You know what I'm saying out there? We got to get married, this and that and the other thing. And the woman's over here going, this is everything that I've dreamed of. This guy is fantastic. He is great. And so the guy says what the woman wants to hear. It pulls her in. And then she's hooked. She doesn't want to lose this guy, right? So what does the guy do? He starts saying, hey, now we got to talk about sex, baby. And she might say, yeah, but I don't want to jump into that right now. And then he'll threaten to leave her. But she doesn't want to lose this great thing. So the guys know what they need to do in order to get what they're looking for. And this isn't all guys, right? But this has happened. And women know that guys are looking for sex. And oftentimes they'll give it up because they think that means they're going to get that security in exchange for what they're doing. Well, let me tell you, predators operate the same way. Online predators, community predators, they know what these kids need. Kids are pretty much the same. They want to be loved. They like to be complimented. They like to be reassured. They like to belong. They like to know that they're accepted just the way they are. And when you have kids in a household where the parents are split up, or there's a lot of fighting going on where the child's not being paid attention to, or you get a situation where it's a single mom and she's working her butt off to take care of her kids and she's really not home a lot, then that child has a void of affection in their life. A lot of kids growing up today without dads. And so what happens? These kids look for people that will fill that role, fill that emptiness. And predators can spot this with kids. They ask questions like, how do you get along with your parents? Do your parents, love you in the way you think they should? Do your parents understand you? And they'll often talk as their kids and they'll say, my parents don't understand me. And the child might say, yeah, mine don't understand anything about me. We don't get along at all. I don't really care about them. They make me so mad. And then the predator is going, doesn't trust the parents. Not a good relationship with the parents. So then that predator starts kind of fill that role. They might let out that they're older than what they initially said, and they'll make up an excuse for that. Well, I just didn't want you to think I was a bad person because I'm really 30. But you know what? I care about you. I love you. Not like your parents. I understand you. And they start telling the kids everything that they want to hear. And that draws the kids in. And they start communicating back and forth. And then when that step gets taken, and that predator says, hey, send me a pic, or let's meet, that child doesn't want to say no because they really want the other benefits of that relationship. They want that love. They want that acceptance that they're not getting at home. So just like the guy knows what to say to the girl to get what he wants, the girl knows what the guy wants. In the same way, predators know what kids want. And they will tell them what they want to hear. And kids often know that despite how messed up their relationship might be with their parents, most parents are not going to be okay with their kid talking to a grown adult behind their back. Kids know this. So they're going to hide it. Because to the child, it's okay. To the child, it's not a problem. Right? But it really is. But they're not going to let the parents know what they're doing. And of course not. So they're going to hide it. And parents that aren't paying attention to the kids' social media and to their messages and their internet activity are going to have no idea that they're talking to these people. They have no idea that some predator is trying to suck them in and trap them. So it comes down to parental involvement, being nosy, watching your kids' behavior changes. When kids start changing their behavior, and you're like, this is kind of out of the norm. Wonder what the heck is going on. Right? Now, parents are quick to just discipline the kid. Hey, you don't talk back to me. You're grounded. Okay. Discipline, there's a place for that. But ask yourself, why all of a sudden are they talking back? What? This isn't how they were a year ago. And then some people will say, oh, it's just a phase. It's just the teenager. Oh, yeah. The teenager thinks they're 18. Oh, yeah, my child did that too. Yeah, and no big deal. No, there's a big deal. If your child is going against you and they're being rebellious or they're being secretive, you got to look into that. Don't just look at what they did. Try to find out why they're doing it. It's a very good possibility that they're in a situation with somebody that they know is not right, and they're hiding it from you. So they're being protective, they're being defensive, or, God forbid, they're trapped in a situation. Maybe they are being exploited. Maybe they are a victim of sextortion. And their behavior is going to show it. They're going to be angry. They're going to be scared. They're going to be definitely not the same child that you remember. Don't just ground them and yell at them. You got to sit down and say, hey, what's going on? This isn't like you. And maybe you'll find out that something is happening with a predator. This happens in a lot of cases. So you have to look for all these different things. I know this is a lot, but you can go back and listen to this space again. Now, like I said, this is Protect Your Children Incorporated, website protectyourchildren.org, protectyourchildren.org. First time we're doing a Twitter space, just to give it a try. Usually we have a live show Wednesday nights, 9 p.m., streaming live on Rumble, Twitter, and a couple of places on Facebook. That show will be back next Wednesday, 9 p.m. live. But the live listenership is pretty low for what we do, for the content that we put out, for the things that we're investigating, and the plots that we're unfolding to keep your kids safe, that help your kids stay safe. Our live listeners, there's probably about 4 or 5 on our live shows Wednesday night, 9 p.m. And that's really, really low. Now, on the podcast side of it, the views, the listens to the podcast are up, 150, 200, even 300. So a lot more people are listening after the fact, but not live. Well, of course, we want more live listeners because we want to hear what you have to say. We want to hear your feedback. We want to hear your input. We want you to be part of the live show. Now, we have noticed week after week, there's a handful of people from Twitter, and we only have about, 800 followers here on Twitter. And in the grand scheme of things, that's nothing. It's a tiny, minute amount. And most people probably don't even know that we are having a space right now, even though we've been promoting it on Facebook and everywhere. But we wanted to see if we can get some Twitter followers to join in, or get some people that are not following us to join into this space. And welcome to Lisa Mans. We see that she just joined in. So not only do we need to be involved for all the reasons that we just stated, but we can't leave it up to someone else. The days are long gone of leaving it up to other people to keep our children safe. Oh, the teacher's going to keep them safe, or the priest or the pastor's going to keep them safe, or the after school program aides that are working are going to keep them safe. Oh, the neighbor's going to keep them safe. And all of those people might play a part, but nothing replaces you, mom and dad. Nothing replaces. You know your child better than anybody else does. And if you don't, go look through their phone and you'll get to know them very, very well, because kids are living out their lives through social media. They're living out their lives in a whole nother alternate world that parents are not aware of. And so we can't let other people keep an eye on our kids. We need to be doing it first and foremost to make sure that they're safe and they're not hiding stuff from us, because that's how the trap is set. Keep this from your parents. Don't tell them. And that's where things get out of control. They get out of hand. So it's out of control. It's out of control. Lisa hands.
Hey, I just wanted to come on and say, first of all, thank you for hosting this space. Second,
Thank you.
I literally just got home from work and hopped on Facebook, saw your notification for the first time that you were doing the space and hopped on. I'm happy to share, anytime you guys do stuff like this. And it's funny because I'm actually hosting one right after you at 10 o'clock about the very same thing, because we're all talking about children's online safety, especially
Awesome.
because June is National Children's Online Safety Month. So thank you for this.
No, absolutely, and I'm glad that you're able to check in. We promoted this on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter all day today. So, and you're the only person that's joined. So, but we wanted to give it a shot, and because we've never done spaces before, so we wanted to give it a shot and see if
It's a
we can.
fantastic platform for conversations. I can tell you, I'm excited to host my first one tonight too. I hope you will stick. I hope you'll jump into mine as well.
No, I definitely will. I'll be looking for it. Absolutely. That's awesome. And we need more of this, because there are spaces about everything you can think of out there. And I've been part of some good spaces that are very good at informing the public on helping to keep kids safe and helping to find missing kids. All of that stuff. There's tons of them. But it's like, unless you have 10,000 followers, it's like nobody seems to know you're having a space. So but you got to start somewhere.
Just got to keep. Yeah, you just got to keep plugging away at it. And like I said, you know, the algorithms are skewed, depending on what you're looking for and what you're following and things like that.
Yeah.
And it also comes. I mean, it does come back down to the fact that, when you've got demographics that are skewed, um, when you promote things, advertisers are screwed, because they can't get to the audience they're really looking for, because kids are online lying about their age.
Yeah. No,
So, hence
that's
Authenticate.
exactly.
There's my plug, my shameless plug. There it is.
Yep. No, you're absolutely correct about that. And we had this, we talked about this, what was it, a month or so ago, but that's exactly the point. And we were just talking about that before you jumped on, how, parents have no idea. And a lot of kids have no idea who they're even talking to, the age of the people they're talking to. And parents don't even know how old the kids are saying that they are. You know what I mean? And that's a huge problem too, because kids always want to be older. So they'll put themselves in as 18 years old when they're actually 12. So now, of course, the people they're talking to are in the 18 plus category. And then that opens up a whole,
A can
can
of
of
worms.
worms right there.
But
Exactly. You know
but
what I
we have
mean?
to also think about the fact that demographically, right?
Mm,
Social
yeah.
media has been around for 20 years. So, for example, I have a son who's 25. He lied about his age when and my eldest is 30. For those of you who don't know me, when you listen to the replay, my eldest is 30, and it goes all the way down to my youngest just turned 13. So my 25-year-old, who's kind of in the middle, He said 12-year-old me would hate what you're doing, mom, but 25-year-old parent me loves what you're doing. Um, because 25-year-old him has profiles that show that he's all the way up to 34
Wow.
because of how he loud. So when you think about that's one of the things I'm talking about tonight in my space is how COPA, the law, because as parents, right,
Mhm.
we don't necessarily understand all the legal jargon, but when you hear just the title of it, Children's Online Privacy and Protection Act, you assume something's out there to protect my kids if they're online.
Right, right.
That's not the case.
Mhm.
And so we have to educate ourselves on what that means and how it affects our kids and what it affects, right? So,
Absolutely.
but when you think about a 20-year span of kids lying about their age, the advertisers that are and trying to promote or push, their stuff out there, they are not reaching the audiences they think they are, that they're being told that they're reaching because of the line, because of the anonymity online. And I understand anonymity for adults and whatever. I'm not even going to get into that. But with kids, the problem is we've now popularized avatars and pictures that are not faces.
Yep.
So album covers, whatever. Um, that all plays into it. And when the law originated, the first things that were hit for fines were American Popcorn Company, which was Jiffy Pop for those that are, the elders of the community like myself.
Yep.
Because you used to get, for the birthday club, you used to get a free thing of Jiffy Pop. You then they hit Mrs. Fields cookies for the same reason,
Yeah.
and we're that law, because of data collection, is stripping away some of those sentimental childhood memories that we have as adults. We've now denied our kids because of data collection. We have to come up with a solution rather than just talking about the problems and the issues.
Right.
And and I appreciate companies out there like Privio and Bark, who started out trying to solve the problem and give parents tools that could help monitor and protect kids online. But it's not enough.
No.
It's just not enough. I mean, God bless them. Bark is out there. They monitor the top 30 popular sites. If you actually get into your kids' stuff, they've probably got vaults that look like calculators that hide apps.
Yep.
They're uploading and downloading and erasing on the bus on the way to and from school. They're not stupid. Think about what you were like as a teenager. And
Yep.
even if we pray, like I do, that they're not like us, they may not be. They may be more sneaky because the tools are out there,
And we were just talking,
you know?
yeah, I was just talking about that, about, kids, all their friends, they work together and they will tell each other, hey, this is how you can hide this. Oh, this is what you can do here. Hey, this is an app that parents don't know about. Here's an acronym that you can use that parents have no idea what it means. They help each other to hide from their parents. And so think about that. So your kids are at school all day or they're with their friends and they're getting all the information that their friends have already figured out. And they're telling your child, hey, this is how you can hide. This is how you can do this. This is how you can do this. And parents have no idea unless they're getting informed and they're staying up on the latest, tricks and trends of what the kids are doing, right? This is a multifaceted issue. And
Absolutely.
what
And
you were saying,
one of the things that I always look for, if I ever have to get into my kids' devices, I look for, because I walk by my kids. My kids, if my kids are on a voice chat or a video chat, I'm right in the same room. They're not allowed to be alone and on those things. Now, are they? Do they? Probably. But all their friends know that the chances are that I'm right there.
yep.
So if I see in a thread or read in a text or whatever, if I see POK or POS,
Hmm.
I don't think of what the adult version is. I think parent over shoulder or parent
Yep.
over keyboard.
Yep. So that's how they let somebody know that you're watching. Isn't that interesting? And those little acronyms, they've been around for a long time, but you know how many parents don't realize what that means? You know what I'm saying? Like it's like this new language the kids got today with this skibbity do toilet and all these other weird words, and it's funny. You can usually ask your kid, what the heck does that mean? And they might tell you, but it's like their own secret little language. You know what I mean? Like it's these things that they know what it means and parents don't. And it's like,
Right.
and that's just an example of it. And listen, we all had those. I mean, we had Pig Latin when we were kids. Remember Pig Latin? you know,
Yes.
and
Yes.
our parents didn't know about Pig Latin. We were able to say stuff, and they had no idea what we were talking about.
Right.
And we're like, yes, we're getting over on them. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, kids. And we were talking about this when kids have a void, when kids have a hole in their heart, when they are looking for things that they're not getting from the relationships in their home, they want that so bad that they will lie and they will sneak in order to keep that because to them it feels right? And parents have to be
Right.
aware of that because that's what a predator is going to do. A predator is going to, identify what that child's circumstances is, automatically pick up on the fact that, oh, they don't get along with their parents. Oh, their parents don't watch them that much. Hey, this child's online gaming for 12 hours a day. Clearly the parents don't seem to care that much. And there's their target. You know what I mean?
Or
And
or they're very close to their parents. Let me plant some seeds of where maybe I can put a divide in.
mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
let me find out what the stances are in the household, and then let me debate, argue, comment of maybe you should research this, or maybe you should, it's really not that bad, or just to put in a divide. They will absolutely. That's all it's about. It's about control, and it's about divide and conquer.
Yep.
And when you look at the percentage rates of kids living in single parent family homes, um,
Yeah.
it's
It's over
the
60%.
internet is ripe for the picking.
Yeah. It's over 60%. One of our live shows, probably about a month back or so, was on that topic. I mean, the amount of single parent homes and how that has opened the door to predators is incredible. And that's one of the first things that these predators will find out. They'll say, hey, when I was a kid, my parents were divorced and it sucked. And the child will say, oh, mine are too. And then the predator might say, well, yeah, my dad wasn't around when I was growing up. Oh, neither is mine. Well, guess what? Now the child has a void and they're looking for a daddy figure. See? And the predator will start to fill that role. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
all about the
Or
personal information that these kids are giving out about their lives. They think they're connecting with somebody, some stranger over the internet, and they think it's just, this one just cares about me, right? But
right.
really, what they're doing is opening themselves up to being exploited or being a victim of sextortion, or horribly, they meet up with them and worse stuff happens.
Absolutely. And there are other ways that kids are targeted. Like, for example, not to talk about too much of I don't want to dox my family, but we have a member of our family that has special needs.
Mm.
So those kids are huge targets because some of them they're not as communicative as typically developing kids.
Yeah.
So they'll get into that kid by getting to the typically developing kid, and then they've got both of them because then they can guilt the one because they introduced it to the other, and oh, it's just a mess. And that honestly, that's why I'm staying single until my kids are 18 and out of the house
There you go.
because there's no man on the planet, no person that is worth my children ever,
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah,
So
that's so good. That's so good. All right, well, let me let you roll. You get ready for your space. I'll definitely jump in at 10 o'clock, and hopefully continue the
sounds great.
conversation. Sounds good. Thank
Thank
you.
you. I gave you a follow. Please do the same.
I just
Have a
did.
great night.
Just followed you back. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. That's Lisa Mans doing some great work with Authentic Kid. She has a space at 10 o'clock, and hopefully you guys will jump into that. It's good. Good stuff. Good stuff right there. So I want to quickly, in the last few minutes that we have here, I want to bring up about Zachary Bernhardt. As you guys know, we've been investigating this missing child case It's an old case. It goes back to September 11th of 2000. That's almost 24 years ago. And a lot of people, the first thing they think of is, yep, this child's probably dead. It's been too long. The child's 31 now, 32 years old. They would have surfaced if they were still alive. They would have tried to come back home. People, it's easy to assign that to a situation like this, but there's so much involved in these types of cases, and they are rare. We do know that there's kids that are found after 12 years. The 3 girls in Ohio were found after 10 years. There was a man we showed on the show last week or the week before. We showed a news clip. This guy was kidnapped as a baby and was the victim of what they call a black market adoption, where he was adopted by another family, all legit, what seemed legit anyway, but the paperwork was all falsely filled out and filed, but it looked like it was all real. So this person had a new name, and he grew up. He said his childhood was pretty good. The adoptive parents were fine, and the adoptive parents had no idea that this guy was a kidnapped baby. And it wasn't until the guy was like, I think they said 40 years old, and he wanted to do some research to find out about his birth parents because he knew he was adopted. And so he ends up finding himself on a missing kids site. It doesn't say how he ended up getting there, but he sees an age progression photo, right? That was about 10 years old, 10 years earlier from when he was looking at it. And it was like almost a spitting image of the guy. It's amazing what they can do with age progression. And this guy realizes that he's been listed as a missing baby, a missing child, for almost 40 years. And so he contacts the FBI and all the authorities. They do the DNA. They find out that this was actually the guy. So, there are just stories like that are out there. And we think that Zachary Bernhardt, 8 years old, missing from Clearwater, Florida in September of 2000, we think that's one of the cases. 24 years doesn't mean anything to us. But we've been able to find out through our investigation in the last 3 years, talking with tons of people, hundreds of people, talking to former co-workers of the mom, friends of the mother, friends of the family, communication with a member of the family who will remain anonymous at her request. It's incredible to think that there are facts that show that this child is still alive, that he, in fact, is living under an alias somewhere. And recently, there's been some new stuff that is leading us to another state, and we're looking into that. We're going to keep that close to the vest right now. But we tell parents out there, don't give up hope. Not everything is an open and shut case. And Florida Department of Law Enforcement still has this case open. It's not marked as a cold case. You think it would be after 24 years. But it's still an open case. They will not close it. Now, some people have their own view of why that is. We happen to think that there is perhaps some screw-ups there in the initial process of looking for this child, where they didn't question the right people. They didn't do enough work. The police didn't do enough detective work on it. And they may have dropped the ball on the case. And the fact that they haven't been actively looking at this case for 20-something years. If the case is closed, it becomes a cold case, then the public gets access to a lot more information about the case. But as long as it's an open investigation, you don't get nothing. They don't even want to vet you. They could vet Protect Your Children Incorporated. They could vet me. They could see that we're safe, and they still won't tell us a darn thing. Just this past Wednesday, last week, we tried to do a Freedom of Information request just simply to get the report, the police report. That's all we're looking for, the police report of when Zach's mom called the police. So we said, it's all we're looking for, just that, just the initial call, the call log, right? The call report. They replied back in 10 minutes. This is an open investigation per Florida law. We don't release anything to the public. This request is closed. So what we've realized is that outside of last year, October of 23, the police did comment to the news, and there was a short news broadcast about a man that was seen in Mexico who, if you look on her social media, that the resemblance to the age progression photos of Zachary at 28 and 30 are just, it's astounding. And we actually did a post yesterday asking people their opinion. We didn't say who the people were. We just put the Mexico guy on the left, and we put 2 age progression photos on the right and asked people their opinion. Does the man on the left resemble anything to the photos on the right? We've had hundreds of comments, almost too much to keep up with. 99% of people are saying that's the same person. The nose is the same. The jawline's the same. The smile is the same. The mouth is the same. The blonde hair is the same. The blue eyes are the same. The long shape of the face is the same. And that's very, very eye-opening to us. So is this Mexico person, he's American, obviously, but he was seen in Mexico. Is he Zachary Bernhardt 24 years later? It's a good possibility. But we're doing a lot of work to continue to investigate this. We do feel like the family knows more. We feel like the mom knows more. The Clearwater police actually came out back when this first happened, saying that they feel like the mom knows more, that she's not telling them. She had this crazy story that she couldn't sleep at 4 in the morning. She put Zach to bed upstairs in her bedroom, in her bed, because he wanted to sleep in her bed that night. And she couldn't sleep because she worked nights and she was off that night. So she kept her schedule, her sleep schedule, that is. And she said she impulsively went out for a swim at 4 in the morning. And she swam from one end of the pool to the other. She comes back. It's cold in the apartment, so she jumps in the shower. She gets out of the shower. Zach's gone. That's her story. She left the door unlocked. She didn't take a towel. She didn't take a change of clothes. Nothing. She told the police actually that she doesn't like to swim, and she don't even know why she did it. Very, very strange. Very strange with her story. And we don't want to, at this point, we tell people, it's not so much at this point of pointing blame, right? We're not interested in our goal isn't oh, we got to see who to blame. Our goal is to locate Zachary. Our goal is to help him locate a safe place to go and a safe place to come out and say, hey, I am him. If he needs help, we want to offer that. If he needs protection, we want to help with that. That's our goal. And are we raising questions about the family? Yes, because we know that over 90% of missing child cases are connected right back to the family, right? Just that stat alone. So we're raising some questions because the story from the mom is very, very odd. The grandmother made a statement on a TV interview stating that the way she sees it, if you took my grandson to love him and raise him right, then that's good. But if you took him to hurt him, then I hope he's dead. I hope he's with God. What an odd statement. And we understand the second part of that. I mean, you don't want to think that your grandson is being exploited or trafficked or tortured. So, of course, I mean, you'd rather him be dead than to go through that. But the first part is what really bothers us. Because the grandmother, who is the mom of Leah, Zach's mom, so it's the grandmother, she believes Leah's story. She believes that a predator was somehow happened to be watching the apartment that night at 4 in the morning and waited for her to leave. And then as soon as she walked out the door for that little swim or whatever, he didn't know she was going to a swim, obviously. She was going for a swim, but apparently this predator just saw her go out the door and thought, oh, here's an opening. And he goes up the stairs to the apartment door, finds it unlocked, goes inside, goes up the next set of stairs, finds Zach sleeping in her bed, grabs Zach, gets out of the house, gets back down the stairs, gets in a car apparently. Nobody saw or heard a thing. Zach wasn't screaming. There was no DNA found in the apartment. The police say that wasn't supposed to be there. Zach's family had a little dog that barked at everything according to the neighbors that we spoke with. No one heard the dog barking. Very, very odd story. But now the grandmother believes that story. So now you're asking yourself, why would the grandmother, who believes the predator story, why would that predator who would even think that that predator would love and raise this child right? Because what predator would ever do that? First of all, they kidnapped the child, tore him away from his mother. So why would she even think if someone took her grandson to love him and raise him right? That doesn't make any sense. That says to us that she knows more. There's something else to this story that she knows. Maybe he was taken by somebody who was supposed to raise him right because him and his mom were being evicted. His mother she was on the 11th eviction in 14 years, and the kid was only 8. And we know from speaking with someone in the family that the family did not want Leah raising Zach. They said she wasn't doing a good job. She wasn't raising him right. And they offered to take Zach and say, we'll raise him. And Leah said, no, he's my son. I'll take care of him. I'll raise him. 6 days after she gets an eviction notice on her door is when this argument took place. And Zach's gone. Let me correct that. She gets the eviction notice on her door. She tells the family the argument takes place, and then 6 days later, Zach is gone. Something doesn't sit right about this. And Protect Your Children Incorporated, we were founded in June of 2020. But prior to that, I was a director along with 3 other people of another not-for-profit organization called Protect Children, Inc., not Protect Your Children, Inc. And we were investigating it back then. And it's just, all these years, things just don't sit right. And now we have the security guard testimony, the security guard that used to do security for Lockheed Martin and Clearwater and also Orlando. You can find that on our show from last week. But he talks about meeting somebody who said their name was Zachary Bernhardt. In Orlando in 2015 to 2016, he knew this Zachary. And he connects Zachary to this guy, Tim, who lived in Orlando. And 2015, 2016, he knows Zach. He didn't know that Zachary Bernhardt was a missing child. But this guy that he met, this Zach that he met, told the security guard his last name was Bernhardt, and then quickly said, oh, I wasn't supposed to tell you that. And the security guard says he asked him why. And Zach said to him, you mean you don't know? And the security guard said, of course, I didn't know anything at that time that he was a missing child. And this would have put Zach at about 23, 24 years old. So time goes on. About a year and a half later, the security guard's, he's watching Investigation Discovery. And what comes on? Episode 8, About a Boy. And it was all about the disappearance of Zachary Bernhardt. And the name rings the bell. He says, wait a minute, Zachary Bernhardt, that's who I met in 2015, 2016, living with Tim. And so security guard calls the FBI, calls Clearwater Police. He said Detective Collymore over there, who we've been able to verify was actual detective over there. So we believe his story. Played phone tag with him for a couple of days, and that was the end of it. Nobody came out to his house. Nobody asked him any more questions. But guess what? 6 days, there's that 6 days again. 6 days after the police were called, and they were called on March 7th of 2018. 6 days later, that guy Tim that Zach was staying with, yeah, Tim's dead. Unexpectedly, obituary says. Just a short illness, a brief illness. And that's the end of Tim. So then Zach obviously would have had to flee and go somewhere else. The case is absolutely crazy, and the police are not doing anything. They say that they will follow a tip if they're given one. Does anybody know if they really are following it? No, because they're not going to tell anybody. But that's the gamble that you take. But there's no detective sitting in a room somewhere looking at these cases and trying to find these missing kids. And there's tons like Zach. There's 3 in Florida that have been missing for a very, very long time. Nobody's working on that. Well, we're working on Zach's case. We don't know anybody who's working on the other two. The police sure as heck aren't. But you know what? We're never going to give up on Zach. We're never going to give up on him. This is a precious young boy, 8 years old, no dad, just his mom, who had alcohol, drug, party issues at the time, evicted from all these places. Some reports were that she was trying to do the best she could to raise him, but was not doing a good job at all. But this little boy's whole life, no matter how it happened, was upended and destroyed because of the choices of a few people. And he may still be hiding today. There's a good possibility that Zach doesn't want to be found. And people would say, well, why would that be? Why would that be? Security guard testimony even mentioned this. But he did a plea to Zach. And he said, Zach, if you can hear this, come forward. You can't live life as a missing person because that can be used against you to exploit you. And he did a plea for Zach to come forward. And he said, nobody has to get arrested if that's what you're concerned about. No one's going to force you to tell your story. Just come forward and say, hey, I'm Zachary Bernhardt. I want to close my case. And that's it. But it's interesting because that may be one of the reasons he doesn't come forward. Let's just hypothetically say that some family was involved in this whole thing. He doesn't want them to go to jail. He already lost his father. All he's got left is his mother and his aunt and his grandma, really. And there's other people, he's got cousins and people that love him, obviously. But the people that are most important to him, he wouldn't want them to get in trouble. And they still could all these years later, hindering an investigation, filing a false report. God knows. So he may not come forward because he doesn't want them to get in trouble. Hypothetically, not saying the family did anything here. Perhaps he's carrying around a whole lot of shame because of what whoever took him put him through. Clearwater police believe that he was taken and put into the child sex trafficking industry. Maybe he's been trafficked all these years. Maybe he's had to do unspeakable things to survive. And he's carrying around guilt and shame from all of that. And he doesn't want that to come out. Maybe he's on drugs or alcohol because of what he's been through and doesn't even realize what the heck is going on. There are lots of reasons why he may not come forward and why he may not want to be found. And that makes it more difficult. If he doesn't want to be found, it's very hard to find somebody who doesn't want to be found because they will stay off the radar. And it's very, very difficult. Now, if he's living under an alias, he may have been adopted, black market adoption. He was told his family was dead or whatever. And he went to go live with somebody. They adopted him. They changed his name. He's going about life with his new name, doing his thing. Right now, he would still know his name because he was 8 years old. So chances are, if he looks up Zachary Bernhardt, he'd see all the coverage. He certainly would find all of our stuff. We've been doing it for 3 years. We've got videos on every platform, everything out there. So clearly he would know that people are still looking for him. So that puts it in another box. If he knows people are looking for him, but he's not coming forward, why? So this case is still very active in our minds. We're going to continue to look for him. We encourage you to go to our website, protectyourchildren.org, protectyourchildren.org. Click on Zachary Bernhardt. He has his own section on our website. All the videos are there. Check out the live shows. They're all there. The podcasts that we've done the last 2 weeks straight are about Zachary. We need your input. We need your input. And we want to thank everybody on our social media as we close out here who's been commenting on the photos that we put up. Like I said, it's been hundreds of comments. It's been incredible. People have pointed out some great stuff. We've had people do facial recognition matches using software, showing us where the pictures connect, from the age progression to the Mexico person. And people have been really involved. And that's what we need. We need more public involved, more people asking questions, more people to say, wait a minute, let's not let this child be forgotten. So, but we'll close out with that. And we want to remind you, every Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, live on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Rumble is Protect Your Children Now, our weekly protection show that we do. So please make it a point to join us 9 p.m. Wednesday evenings from 9 to 10 Eastern time. Sometimes we go a little bit longer depending if the conversation and the content is heavy, but we encourage you to join us and follow us on social media. All our links can be found on our website, protectyourchildren.org. Links to our TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, Twitter, all of them. So you can like, subscribe, and follow us there for important protection information on a daily basis. So I want to thank everybody for joining in. Thank you, Lisa, for joining in. I'm going to hop off of here and join Lisa Mann's space, which starts at 10 o'clock. That's 5 minutes. Hope you guys will check into that as well. Until next time, this is Chris with Protect Your Children Incorporated. ProtectYourChildren.org is the website, protectyourchildren.org. Thank you.